passed through some very special moments, but everything at its right time. We have to go on. So we are on page AyinBase, and the fifth line from the top.
The fifth line.
Fifth line, yeah. So we've come, so to speak, to the point of the whole discussion. That yes, there is chitzonius oil, and there's a seder ishtalshelus, but the whole seder ishtalshelus and the chitzonius is meant to be eventually illuminated by the pnimius. And this is what's accomplished through Torah and Israel, that they draw the pnimius into the chitzonius. And before from to be mamshech the pnimius into this oil. Hainu liyeise b'shvil pnimius. The reason that the world was given to Avraham is for the very fact that the world hatchila was created b'shvil pnimius, for the sake of the pnimius. So therefore, even though the world was initially created b'shvil pnimius, so it has an element of pnimius in it, in a hidden way. Omnam hakavona b'nesino zu. However, the kavona, the intent with this gift, even though we say the world hatchila was b'shvil pnimius, but there is an additional union in this gift. Hakavona b'nesino zu hu bigdei lahamshich tois v'soilet v'pchinas chitzonius. It is in order to bring additional oil in the chitzonius element, liyois gam bohem gilui hapnimius, so that in the chitzonius too there would be the gilui of the pnimiut. The chitzonius will be actually imbued and absorbed by the pnimius, and it's totally illuminated and affected by the pnimius. This is the nesina, because initially, as we said throughout, that the pnimius goes along with the chitzonius, except it is hidden. But there's always an element of pnimius with the chitzonius. As we pointed out throughout this discussion, that the chitzonius, in its very structure and a very functioning element, has an element that is beyond chitzonius, that points to a pnimius, points to a deeper reality. But it is still chitzonius. But the Indian nesino is that there should be gilui hapnimius in the chitzonius totally. In our mishalim, the mashal that we used over here at this point was a simple, very simple mashal of the table and the chair and their cooperation that even though each has its own place, its own function, but together they form a broader functioning element. But this is still chitzonius. As we pointed out many times, that anything that is only function dependent, in other words, the way you use it, that makes it significant. It does not have an essential source and inspiration for it. So in this relationship between the table and the chair, it could very well be interpreted as that accidentally you found the table, accidentally you found the chair, and you saw that you can use the chair by the table, and now it becomes convenient. It is all chitzonius. As we pointed out many times, that in reality there is a human spirit that demands that there be a chair and a table. Not for convenience purposes, for comfort, but from the perspective of the dignity, human dignity, and even that on the very chitzonius level. On the pnimius level, it's much higher than that. As the Gemara says, we mentioned many times, it's not even human lihoto b'shuk. So this, the truth of this is a deep neshama element, and the idea of nosan hakimas o'elam, the Avraham, is that this neshama, this godly element, that that is the source of the entire Seder Ishtalshelus, that should be revealed in Seder Ishtalshelus. So that in the chitzonius should be gilui gam b'hem gilui pnimius. Hainu. And this gilui pnimius consists in the fact that neshamas Yisrael with Torah, neshamas Yisrael and Torah, they affect this hamshach, the canal, and as we mentioned, shenivcharu, that they were chosen, li is bahem ve'al yodom hamshachad v'bchinas pnimius ve'ho, because ha'yishtalus. And they were chosen that through them should be the hamshacha, the pnimius, and the atzmius in the whole Seder Ishtalshelus. And that is the meaning that the oil and Seder Ishtalshelus were given to Avraham. Ad lihiyoyes bebchinas dira betachtoin. And this hamshacha should be so total that it would effectuate the union of dira betachtoin. As is explained throughout many times, dira betachtonim means, dira refers to not a functional element, but the essential element. The essence should be present in tachtonim. And thus this explains also the fact that Bikesh Avraham litin lei mokim hamigdos. Avraham asked that he should be also given the place of the Mikdash. What was so important? Place of the Mikdash? Shezehu gilui b'chinas pnimius. By the place of the Mikdash, this is the place where the pnimius is nisgala. The place of the Mikdash is magala, not only temporarily there's gilui pnimius, it's megala that there is pnimius. The pasuk says, "Ki say koved more merishim mikim migdosheinu." Ki say koved, the throne of glory. Mikim more merishim is superior from the first. Mikim migdosheinu, the place of our migdosh. Beis hamigdosh hoyo gilui atzmos ein soibor, which implies and says clearly that in the Hamigdosh there was the gilui of atzmos ein sof. This is kisekovim morim erisha. V'zeh hoyo al yidei avedas hakorbonos. Ultimately, in the Mikem Migdosheinu, the union of Dira B'Tachtenim, Gili Atzmos Ein Sof, came about al yidei avedas hakorbonos, as a result of avedas hakorbonos. The nachas ruach lefonai. What is korbonos? Korbonos are described as nachas ruach lefonai. It is pleasing to me, she'amarti v'naseh retzoin, where I said, and my will has been done. She'al yidei zeh hoyo gili ho'atzmos b'kodesh hakodoshim. Thereby, it brought about the gili of atzmos in kodesh hakodoshim. This principle, avedas hakorbonos nachas ruach lefonai she'amarti v'naseh retzoin. Avedas hakorbonos is something which does not have, so to speak, an achiza in any context. What is it about? How is it a nachas ruach? There is not an element that can be focused on and said, oh, this is what avedas hakorbonos affects. This is how it happens. Avedas hakorbonos has the most profound effect. It brings atzmos down. How? Because omarti v'naseh retzoin. Just as we said throughout this discussion, that the real gili ho'atzmos is due to bechira, to the fact that this is what he chose to be the method by gili ho'atzmos. And this is the infant of avedas hakorbonos. The similar union. Avedas hakorbonos, nachas ruach lefonai. The nachas ruach is lefonai is in pnimius and atzmos. Why? She'amarti v'naseh retzoin. This is the principle. And therefore, al yidei zeh hoya gili ho'atzmos b'kodesh hakodoshim. And this brought about the gili of atzmos because there's no interference with this union. There is a direct response, a direct effect, a direct statement that this is omarti v'naseh retzoin. Zehu she'omer Avraham. And thus this explains too what Avraham said, Im lo titen li mokim hamigdosh, if you will not in fact give me the mokim hamigdosh, lo nosatu li klum, then you have given me nothing. It says Hashem Halakim nosans ha'olam le'Avraham, gave the world to Avraham. Avraham said, I need mokim hamigdosh, and if not mokim hamigdosh, you have given me nothing. What does it mean? The explanation is Ki hagiluyim seder hishtalshelus, because all the giluyim of seder hishtalshelus, in other words, that which affects and creates the world, even the world achayus, hareiheim rag haor levad. Those hiluyim are only a haora from Elokus. V'harei ze loy klum, and therefore this is loy klum, this is nothing, sheheim bechinas ayin be'etzem. Because in essence, a ha'ora is only a reflection, a ha'ora is only a functional element, which is essentially not the essence. And therefore, there is not the essential truth, even though it alludes to it. It has the oil of it, but it's not the essence. Ayin be'etzem. V'gam pirush l'ninsatu l'klum. There is also in the explanation of the fact l'ninsatu l'klum that you didn't give me anything. Although, as we said, there is in this a ha'ora of atmos. But l'ninsatu l'klum shari bozel lo nishlam ha'kavono adayin. Since that the kavona was not completely fulfilled thereby. Kavona, this is kavona of atzmos. Kavona of atzmos, this is essentially having atzmos here. This kavona has not been fulfilled. Sherehayi kerhu hamshochas pnimius. Since that the ikir is that the principle of the entire Giluyim, the entire Seder instruction and chitzonius is that there should be hamshochas pnimius, the etzem, the pnimius itself. And seeing that this is only ha'ora, so it hasn't fulfilled the kavanah. And if the kavanah is not fulfilled, so then we don't have the essence. As we discussed, the whole principle of kavanah, the intent, that is actually a representative of the essence. The kasher nosan leimokim hamigdosh. But then, when finally Elikim gave to Avraham mokim hamigdosh, nosan loy hakohoy. Then, thereby he gave him everything. Lakoil. How is it lakoil? Because this is what it's all about. Being that mokim hamigdosh, this is hamshoch ve'atzmos. Because in mokim hamigdosh there is a matter of naser etzoyim. V'gam bozeh nishlam amitas hakavona. And then also bozeh in the mokim hamigdosh is nishlam amitas hakavona is complete. Amitas hakavona, the truth of the kavanah. Not the ha'or of the kavanah, but the truth of the kavanah itself.
What's the difference between amshacha pnimius and amshacha ha'atzmus?
In this context, it's the same thing. Because we explained that the pnimius that we're talking about over here is not the pnimius that comes in the form of a ha'ora, but pnimius as it is contained in the etzem, as we explained before. So therefore, it's the same thing. This explains also what did Hashem say? Can I possibly conceal from Avraham? And it says, what I intend to do. But now we'll understand what this consideration is, concern is. This can be explained in two modes, in two ways. For Aleph, one, mitzad hagiluyim seder ishtalshalus. from one element in this is from the perspective of Giluyim Seder Ishtalshelus. Seder Ishtalshelus is also Giluyim Elikim. Seder Ishtalshelus is how the world gets developed and created. שהרי איפן ההמשכה הוא מבחינת צמצום והלם ממדרגה למדרגה.
Sorry, what the Beis Ofanim is referring to? Yeshlam of Beis Ofanim, good Beis Ofanim in what? What are we talking about?
In the principle Hamchas Anim Avraham. What is the inference here? מצד הגילוי מסדר השתלשלוס. שהרי איפן ההמשכה הוא מבחינת צמצום והלם ממדרגה למדרגה. The mode of the Hamshach, the manner Hamshach in Seder Ishtalshelus is through the process of Tzimtzum and Helam, going going from one madrege to the other. The Kash and Yeyetesh V'Seireis. And when there will be Teish V'Seireis, the Tosfos, it means that it will be Megaladin and pnimius. The Hainu, Gilui Bechinas Hoatzmus, if through Avraham is effectuated the Gilui Bechinas Hoatzmus, Harei Lo Yiyeh Bechinas Tzimtzum Ha'ela, so then that will eliminate the tzimtzum of the world. Which is Amchas Anim Avraham. Since Avraham effectuates the Hateshvas Eirus, bringing pnimius in, therefore it's not possible to conceal what's going on in the world. Amchas Anim Avraham means the various plans in the world, Doim and Amoir and so forth, cannot be concealed from Avraham. Why? Because now it is no longer in chitzonius, it is in the realm of pnimius. V'zehu hamchase ani, and this is the pshat hamchase ani. Since the Avraham is mamshich the pnimius, therefore the whole inyan of machase, of concealment, of worldly concealment, is no longer applicable. This is from this angle, from the world, from the Ishtalshelus angle, Beis, and the other point in this, Hamchase Ani, Mitzad Bechinas Ho'atzmus, from the Atzmus perspective, Shezel Bechinas Sosim Behelem Be'etzem. The Atzmus is Sosim Behelem Be'etzem, as we discussed the principle of Sosim during this Maimer. Sosim Behelem Be'etzem, which means that the truth of Atzmus is in a state of Sosim. There is nothing there to be Megal. Be'etzem. It is also explained elsewhere. The Inyan Hashpo Atzmis, that when it comes to Hashpo Atzmis, Nemar al Zeh Soid Havai L'Reyot. What means Soid? Soid means the concealed, the concealed element, the Soid, the secret. Soid Havai L'Reyot. Abat Beskam L'Reyot, that is the Soid. Shezel Bechinas Soid Soso, which means it's a concealed Soid. So even when it comes, it remains a soil. V'zehu hamchase ani. That's what hamchase ani. Liyois hamshoch as bechinas hakisui v'hakosoit. that this Soid Havaya Avraham, he gets at that whole Soid. That is not being concealed from him. Hamshochet b'chinas hakisa v'asoid. Beho taliyah. And these two elements, these two views, that one is from the perspective of the world. Hamchasani, can it be concealed, since that the world will have the pnimius, and then the whole concealment of the world is no longer valid. And then also machasani, conceal the pnimius and atzmos. These two are interdependent. Because by bringing the amshocha, the soid havaya, the helem of Elokus, the haino hamshochas or atzmius, the atzmis element, which is inherently sosum, memele lo yesh bechinas helem v'hester be'agilu the seder. Then automatically there is not an element of helem in the gilu of seder ishtalshus. Because if atzmis is nimshach, then there's no such thing as helem. Atzmis is helem, but this helem completely eliminates the helem of seder ishtalshus. To put it in our terminology, eliminates the helem of seder ishtalshus. As we've been saying all the time, that the biggest principle in this whole discussion is the principle of bechira. Bechira has no explanation. It has no content. Bechira is the bechira of etzem. Bechira, on the one hand, is completely concealed. On the other hand, it's completely revealed because the etzem is there. Therefore, when there is hamshochas or atzmos in Seder Ishtalshus, in Seder Ishtalshus, in the Gili of Seder Ishtalshus, so normally Seder Ishtalshus is only able to process, so to speak, Gilui, that which can come through Ishtalshus, Tzimtzum, Hamshocha, and Seder Ishtalshus from higher to lower and so forth. This is how the process of worked. And that enables the different hell and the hester, different madrigas. But when the etzem is present, what is the statement of the etzem? The statement of the etzem is not what his content is. The statement of the etzem is, this is me, this is what I want. This is me, this is what I want. This illuminates all hell and hester. This is the greatest gilu there is. Even though it's not a gilu that's mislabish and Seder Ishtalshus. It eliminates the need to be mislabish and Seder Ishtalshus, because you have the atzmut itself. I want to take a minute to explain this. I see that we're perplexed a little bit about this. To explain throughout the difference, even today, the difference between pnimius and chitzonius. Chitzonius, in simple terms, is precarious. It lacks reality, no matter how great it is. It's precarious. It does not have an essential presence, essential truth to it. You can build the Empire State Building, and it's very solid. It's precarious. It stands because something is holding it up. Understand, because it's a beautiful building. That doesn't make it stand. It stands because something is holding it up. That's chitzonius. pnimius has an essential presence. It's not held up. Pnimius is the real thing. This is the union that we mentioned all the time, the Rambam says. The first principle is there's a first being. This first being doesn't have any support. It's not based on support. This is the reality itself. So when Asmus is nimshach, is miskala, is nimshach, then that eliminates completely the whole union from Hayom Hester. Then you have the reality in the Seder, in the world.
The last piece, then you have it in the world. If what?
If Etzem is there, then they have a reality in the world. This is what he wants. This is what he chooses. Then that's real. Like we give our measure from the cock on the wall. Cock on the wall is a precarious, insignificant presence. But if the human being wants it, and there's a human being living in this house, then it's solid. Clearly, we're in the world, so it can break. But that's not the point. It can break, but it will be restored. In other words, it has an essential presence. Why? Not because it has in itself an essential presence. Is it really not, like we explain all the time, it's not necessary to have a clock in the wall? No, it's not necessary. But this is the human statement. If he wants it, then it is real. And that eliminates completely all the hell and behester of Seder Ishtalshus. Okay, so we will interrupt now so that we won't just rush through the next 2 lines. But I think we have something to hold on to. All right. This is it for this morning.